Hello, like I said yesterday, we want to continue our lessons by looking at radical equations. What do we mean by radical equation? We just introduce ourselves to the concept of surds. If you remember, we have done surd, and we said that surds are usually expressed in this form. So you can have root A or root B, where in most terms the A and B are either um, prime numbers or odd numbers. Good. So what we mean by radical equations is that it's an equation which involves a set or an unknown variable which is usually under the radical sign or the root sign. So for example, you have a question like this where we have root 3x plus 2 being equal to 5. This is a radical equation. Why is it a radical equation? It's a radical equation because this unknown variable here is under the root sign, right? And it's an equation because it involves an equal sign comparing two sides of the equation. So this is the left hand side and this is the right hand side. So our left hand side is here and our right hand side is here. So the left hand side comprises of the terms root 3x plus 2, and then the right hand side comprises of the term 5. Now equation means that both the left hand side and the right hand side are equal. Now since we have a certain variable which is x involved in the equation, then it means that we need to find a certain value for the x where the left hand side will be equal to the right hand side. So that is the job that we have to do. So note that our question is giving us root 3x plus 2, and that should be equal to 5. So we have to solve this. Now to be able to solve this, what you do is that you group like terms. Remember, what we have here on the left hand side comprises of a set and a whole number. So you know that we cannot add these two because these two does not have a set which is like what we have here. So it's better we group like terms by moving the 2 to the right hand side. So in doing that, you know that our root 3x will be maintained on the left hand side and our 2 move to the right hand side, becoming negative. So in that case, we continue with root 3x being equal to 5 minus 2, leaving us with what? 3. Now at this end, look at something. What can we do? Remember, this root 3 is a root sign, and in general terms, this root 3 represents root 3x, I beg your pardon, represents the square root of 3x. What is the square root? The square root is to the power of 2. So to be able to clear this our root 3x, what we do is that we have to square both the left hand side and the right hand side. So in doing that, our square, which is the power 2, can help us to cancel this root sign here. And when that is done, you realize that you'll be left with our 3x, and that will be equal to the right hand side having 3 to the power of 2, which is 9. Remember, we are still looking for x, so in view of that, we have to divide both sides by our 3. So we divide the left hand side by 3, the right hand side by 3. So this left hand side x 3 will take care of this x, this 3. Then we will be left with our x being equal to 9 on 3, which is give us 3. So it means that the value for x for the right hand side to be equal to the left hand side in the equation that we were given earlier is 3. Now, to be able to test it, if that is true, let's go and rewrite a whole question again. So our question that was given was root 3x plus 2 should give us 5. So it means that when we evaluate, having using the new value of x, the right hand side should be equal to the left hand side. Now remember that our calculation gave us 3 to be what? X to be equal to 3. So in doing so, our root 3, remember the 3 is at x is attached to the 3, right? Because we had root 3x. Since x is multiplying 3, we have to multiply 3 by the 3. So plus the 2 plus our 2 plus our 2 should give us 5. So now we have roots of what? 3 by 3 should give us 9 plus our 2 should be equals to the 5, which is the right hand side. So what is the root or the positive root of 9? That is exactly 3. And when that is added to 2, you get our what? Our 5. So that means that x is actually equal to 3, right? So this is what we mean by radical equation. Let's take another example. So so we want to continue with this example. Yes, so the example states that 2 root x plus 1 plus x is equal to 7. What does this mean? This means that we should find a value for x which will make both the left hand side of the equation and the right hand side of the equation become equal, right? So to do so, like we did in the earlier case, let's rewrite our question. So we have 2 root x minus 1 plus, sorry, it's plus 1 plus our x, and that should be equal to 7. Let me change the color so that you will appreciate what we are doing. So we have 2 root x plus 1 plus x, and that should be equal to 7. What's the first thing that we do? Note that this is a set and this is not a set, so we cannot add them. So it's better we take our x to the right hand side. So in doing so, we will have 2 root x plus 1, and that is equal to 7 minus what? X. Why? Because we are adding the additive inverse to both sides of the equation. In that case, x will move from the right hand side to the left hand side. Good. So in continuing, you realize that we could have done this easily, but there is a problem of this root here, this radical, the root that is over here, right? So to be able to deal with that, what we do is that we have to square both sides of the equation. So we square here and square here. When that happens, this 2 will be able to cancel this one, but it will square this 2 in front. What this means is that we can decide to multiply this by itself twice. But the shorter approach is that because we are squaring, the square root will cancel the square here. But since this 2 is not part of the square root, we cannot say that this 2, the power, the nullification that will happen with this square root to affect this 2. So this 2 will have an impact on this square, which means 2 times 2, making 4. So if you appreciate what I'm saying, then it means that we're going to have 4. Then we have, now the square root is gone, but the x plus 1 is still there, equal to the right hand side. Now with the right hand side, this thing that we have here means that 7 minus x multiplying itself 2 times. Yes. So if 7 minus x multiplying itself 2 times, you can use the Pascal's triangle to do it. And I believe by now we are okay with it. And you can either use the spread or the FOIL method to do it. So if you do that correctly, you are expected to get x squared minus 14x plus 49 plus 49. So we have two side of the equation. We have 4 into bracket x plus 1 equal to x squared minus 14x plus 49. So we are still looking for x. So what we do is that we have to expand the left hand side so that we can do group some like terms and see what will be the outcome. So in doing so, remember that we have 4 here, so 4 multiply our x, and that will give us 4x plus 4 will multiply this 4, giving us 4, right? So equal to now the right hand side. Let's repeat that one because we have not done anything about it now. X squared minus 14x plus 49. So this is what we have. Now at this level, you see that what we have here is quite a quadratic equation. I told you this in class, but we are not done with it yet. We have to move the left hand side, all the numbers here, to the right so that we'll be left with 0 at one side of the equation. Yes, we can also decide to bring all the one at the left hand side to the right, or the one at the right hand side to the left hand side. That is also possible, but we want to avoid a maximum curve. So in that case, we keep the x squared positive. So and then move all that we have at the right to the at the left to the right. Good. So what I mean by that is that we have 4x minus, sorry, we have 4x plus 4 at the right hand side. So at the left hand side, so I'll move it to the right hand side. So when all this moves to the right hand side, note that the left hand side will be left with 0. Good. So if it's left with 0, then we have x squared minus 14x. I believe you are following, plus 49 minus 4x because it has crossed the negative, the root sign, and we are adding its additive inverse. Then minus what? 4. Sorry, there's 49 here, it's not 9. Good. I believe we are all following. So if you are following, at this end, what we do is that we group like terms and do some subtraction. We have negative 14x here. We have negative 4x here. So when we put the two together, we should get x squared minus 18x. Then we have 49 here minus 4, which is plus 45. This is what we have. So this is the full quadratic equation that we have obtained. We have obtained a full quadratic equation, which is 0 is equal to x squared minus 18x plus 45. At this level, what we do is that we solve the quadratic equation. So in solving the quadratic equation, we find factors 2 factors of 45 because the coefficient of x is 1. So we find 2 factors of 45, where when we multiply, we get our 45, of course. But when we add, we get negative 18. And we use that to replace our negative 18 here. So in taking care of, or in considering the multiples or the factors, what we do is that we consider both negative and positive factors. Good. So remember, what are the factors of 45? At least you have one multiplying 45 to give us 45. 2 cannot do that, but 3 can help us, 3 and 15. And then we have 5 and what? And 9. So which of these factors, when we add, and at the same time negative also do, so plus or minus, plus or minus, plus or minus, plus or minus of each of them. So negative 1 and negative 45 will still give us positive 45. Negative 3, negative 15 will still give us negative 45, positive 45. Negative 5 and negative 9 will still give us 45. Good. Now we want 2 factors. When we add that, we will get what? Negative 18. So which one will help us? If we take great care, or look at it carefully, realize that it is negative 3 and negative 15 will do that for us. So what we do is that we arrange. Let me copy the question and take it to the next part of the page so that we can go and then continue over there. So let's go to the next page. Okay, so we have our question on the board, which is x squared minus 18x plus what? 45. So we said the factors that can help us are negative 3 and negative 15. So we replace the 18x with this one. So what it do is that we attach x to both of them. Good. So our quadratic equation will now be equal to, we have 0 on the right left hand side being equal to x squared minus 3x minus 15 plus what? 45. 15x plus what? 45. Let's take good care of what we did here. So we replace this part of the equation with 18. Yes, and remember, we have not done anything because negative 3x plus negative 15x will still give us negative what? 18. Right. So in continuing with the question, you realize that 0 is on the left hand side. So x squared minus 3x, I want to rewrite it so that we can see it clearly, and 15x plus what? 45. Good. Now what we do is that we put these numbers into what? Brackets, or we factorize them. So we factorize this and this, and we also factorize this one and this one, and we also factorize the negative 15 and then how do we call it, 45. So if you take the first bracket, both are equal to 0 anyway. What is common there? X is common. So when we put x out, what becomes of it? We have 1x here, then we have negative 3 inside, right? Then the second bracket, what can we put out? We can put negative what? 15 out. Remember, we have x inside, then negative what? 3. Why? Because negative 15, we added it to the what? Negative 3. And when you multiply, you go back to what? Positive 45. That's why we are doing that. So when we continue, you realize that we have 0 is equal to x minus 15. That's the first factor. Then the next one is the one that is inside here. So x minus what? 3. Good. So according to our solution, to be able to get our root or answers for x, in this case quadratic means that, like I said in class, we get two sets of what values, but we have to verify which of them will be the true set or will be accurate for our answers. So we have 0 being equal to x minus what, 15, and then we also have 0 being equal to x minus 3. So what we do is that we equate each of them to 0. So for the first instance, we have 0 being equal to x minus what, 15. So when that is done, you can decide to remove the bracket at this level. So 0 is equals to x minus what, 15. And when that is done, remember x will be equal to what, 15. That's the first value for x. The second value for x is that we equate the second one to 0. So 0 is equals to x minus what, 3. When that is done, we realize that we have 0 being equal to what, x minus 3. So x will be equal to what, 3. So remember, x have gotten two values. So x is either equal to 15 or 3. But we have to come back to the question and check and see which of them will satisfy our solution that we have obtained. So let's go back to the question. Let's go back to the question and check which of them will help us to solve our question. So let's select our question. Let's add one more page. Let's see. So this was our question. Yes. Oh, there's 2 in front there. So let me just so our question was 2. Sorry about that. Question was 2. Our question was 2 root x plus 1 plus what, x, and that should be equal to 7. This was our question. If you remember, this was our question. So we solved to get two values for x. So x is 15 or what, 3. So let's check and see which of these values will be accurate for the question. Then we input that one as the answer, right? So in doing so, in the first instance, where x is 15, we put x there. So we have 2 root what, x for 15. So 15 plus 1 plus our what, x, which is still 15. That should be equal to what, 7. Now, so let's check. 2 root 15 plus 1 is 16 plus what, 15, and that should be what, 7. So if we continue, we have 2 multiplying. Remember, this is multiplying, so it's multiplying this. So 2 times what, root, actually you're looking for the positive root, so 2 times the root of 16 plus what, 15 should be equal to 7. So let's check. We have 8 plus 15, and definitely that is not equal to 7. So in this case, we cannot use 15 to be the value for what, x. So let's go back and put our 3 there to see which is the second value for x that we obtained. When we put it there and it works, then it means that 3 is the value. So we have 2 root what, x. Sorry, let's go back to the top. Let's go to the top. Okay, so let's start from here. So we have 2 root what, x plus 1 plus what, x to be equal to 7. And we said x is 3, so 2 root what, 3 plus 1 plus what, 3, and that's equals to what, 7. So when we continue, we realize that we have 3 plus 1, the one under the radical is what, 4 plus what, 3 should be equal to 7. So Note, like I said, this and this are multiplying. So 2 root 4 is 2 plus 3 should be equal to what? 7. And when you check, what do we have? We have our 2 times 2 giving us what? Giving us 4 plus 3 giving us what? 7. So definitely 7 is equal to what? 7. Therefore, the value or the truth set for the equation that we solve is x is equal to 3. So this is what we are looking for actually. So thank you.